a lot of new faces. Quick idea on what I do. I do a lot of hoops and tailors. We serve the IT needs of businesses. Well, thanks. You. You used to do that. We go into these offices. We take over their cybersecurity, fix their computers, take care of email, websites, what have you. We make things work. Love doing it, usually. Emphasis on usually. But that's pretty much what I do on a day-to-day. And a lot of the things that we do in IT have a lot of similarities to the things that you guys do out there. For example, let's say you bring on this new client. It's one of the first things you do. You investigate. You start digging around. You start looking at computers and systems and see what's going on. You guys look through their paperwork. Maybe their insurance policies. If you're a building inspector, go around the outside of the house, the attic. You open up a closet. And you look at the medicine cabinet. And then there's this point where you're in there, and all of a sudden you realize, I'm in the house of a serial killer. It happens. All of us. Yes. I'll share with you 2 recent problems I've had with some customers that I brought on board. First one, code name Christine. We're going to somewhat protect the innocent here. Christine has an old system in her office. When I say old, in computer terms, this is a 20-plus-year-old system. Now, if you're not in computer systems, that's the equivalent of, Roy's 70-year-old car. Or a 70-year-old house. That has never been updated. Now, yes, it may drop. It may pseudo stand on all its columns. But at some point, you've got to go in there and replace a light bulb, maybe a fuse board. And you're going to have a hard time making things work, right? That's what we were faced with.
Can I make an announcement real quick? Does anyone have a black Chevy Traverse out front? It's been on for like an hour now. Uh-oh. Like right on the curb.
This has been a weird meeting, right? Yeah. What are you gonna do? So anyway, you go and you have this old system that we've got to go in and fix. It runs her entire business. Her clients can't connect to it. She called me up last week. Oh my God, nothing's working. Well, yes. When we talked the year before, I told you it was going to stop working. Shockingly enough, that's what happened. It stopped working. So, we do what we usually do. Put our heads together, get some experts, and okay, how can we finagle this again? Because this is not the first conversation. It's not the first time this has happened. It happened the year before, and the year before that. And the IT guy before me, and the IT guy before him. This has been an ongoing thing. So what do you do? What are your options? Well, let's talk about leadership. Ways that you can provide leadership in these situations. Option number 1. You put together a plan. You sit down. You calm the customer down. It's going to be okay. We'll get through this together. I'll budget for it. But number 1, when you have somebody in that situation, you've got to energize them, right? You've got to get them bought on board that, hey, yes, you've got to invest some money. It's going to take some serious cash, but you can do this. We can do this together. Absolutely. Here's where we need to go. I see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? That is an option. Option number 2. You pull out the club and you just start swinging at everything on a desk, every piece of equipment you can find. And while that customer is sitting there cowering in the corner, wondering what you're doing, Well, now you've got their attention. Because you didn't have it the past 20 years. Now you've got their attention. And yeah, it'll be a little rebuilding and, maybe some jail time, but at the end of it, they have to move forward, right? 2 options there. Option number 2, love that. All right, second one, you inherit a new customer. We've all done this. There's a predecessor. Somebody came before you. Maybe it's because they were tired. Maybe they oversold or undersold, overperformed, underperformed. One of those things. You have taken over for somebody else. But when you get in, they give you the keys, you find out, well, some of the keys are broken, some are missing. Somebody's already jimmied some of the locks on the doors. Some of the doors have multiple doors and chains and locks and all kinds of things. Now, this is not your fault, right? But you're the guy with the keys now. What do you do? What are your options? Because now the customer is looking at you for a solution. Option number 1, plan, strategize. Figure out what you can do to make this customer happy. You've got to make things work. This is your job. This is what you need to do. Listen, again, we're going to get through this. This is going to take some time.
No, it'll work fine like it is.
But you've got to communicate in this situation. You've got to console that person. You've got to get them to understand this is a process. That's one option. Option number 2. Row number 2 over at the Ace Hardware in Winter Park. Take yourself a roll of duct tape. Get 2 and have backup. You go find that predecessor, you duct tape their hands and their feet together, you throw them in the trunk of the car. You go down to the closest Lynx bus station, and you literally throw them under the bus. This is going to make you feel really good about your job at that point. Sure, you can do it in the figurative sense, but let's be honest. Throwing somebody under a bus anchor or something like that, it's going to feel good. Toastmasters, you always have options. Don't always look at that first option. Thank
you. Keeping with my theme of interesting speech notes that you get to see when you're up here, these were Sean's, as opposed to Roy's. Mine. After a 3-year hiatus from speaking, something his wife appreciated greatly, Toastmaster Sean Esler is blowing the digital dust off his Pathways journey with some lessons in leadership. Toastmaster Sean Esler.